Dipito. Hey, how are you doing, Simon?
Greetings all. Welcome everybody to the Dipito Let's Talk Crypto Show. Looks like we
Yeah,
got a very special guest in the house tonight.
we do have a special guest just joining us tonight, Mr. Patrick L. Riley. Did a little research on him, Simon, and his LinkedIn profile says that he's a serial entrepreneur. He's the president of Atum Industries, the CEO of Reaper Financial, the founder of Ascension Index, founder of Ark Institute, founder of Pillars, founder of Box, and chairman of Block Oversight Committee. That is a lot on one man's plate. And so we are super excited to welcome Patrick L. Riley to the Dipito Show. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing great, Melissa and Simon. It was great meeting you, by the way, out in Vegas. I really enjoyed your Eye of the Tiger rendition, and it was outstanding. And actually see you face to face after we've talked for a couple of years now, and been doing karaoke together for a couple of years. So really appreciate what you're doing.
I thank you so much. Yes, we enjoyed meeting you too. I was super excited. Out of all of the folks that were at the XRP Las Vegas, you and Greg were two of my top points
Absolutely.
of my super excited. Simon, I'm going to let you chit chat because you only have 15 minutes. So,
Wow. Well, first off, that's hardly a profile of a serial entrepreneur. I think I counted only 8 endeavors. I think you have to hit 10 to be lawfully considered a serial entrepreneur.
Well, if we're going by statistics on murders, I think it's only 3 before you're a serial killer. So
Well, I mean, I didn't want to put you in that category. I was just trying to, maybe set the bar a little higher.
Well, I appreciate it.
Patrick, by the way, that's real quick. That's a heck of a rig you got behind you right there.
Oh yeah, it's that's Hyperion, and it named itself with an AI that's local and onboard to it. So that's 128 gigabytes memory with 24 gigabyte GPU and 7800 3DX and
wow,
multi-thread cores, and she's fun.
Yeah, that you just put the Challenger or Charger on in Fast and Furious, put to shame right there. Like you just one upped it. I love that. Hey, so real quick.
Go ahead. Wondering what it is. I'm like, what is it? It's a computer, right?
Is
it
that's my PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's super cool. That's what you call a hot PC.
PC, that'd be like if you had one of the most awesomest muscle cars ever, and you said, "Oh yeah, that's my commuter." That's what he's saying right now.
I got you.
Okay, so real quick, Melissa and I were talking earlier in the week, and we were reflecting back on the Las Vegas XRP Las Vegas, and one of the things that really I think struck us both was the conversation about value. And it was so not related to price, what we perceive as price value. It was seeing the future in XRP and other digital assets. And when I spoke to you at the Thursday night Stable Crew Heritage Hog private event, I asked about your project, and it was great, but which is totally awesome. I know you guys are going to get into it, but my question is, what is valuable to you about the XRPL, and do you have to hold XRP in order to build or develop upon the XRPL?
So first, I completely agree with what you're saying, that value and price are not related, but price is usually denoted in a monetary value, and that is money is power, but power is the ability to do. So with the XRP ledger, it's about what we can do with it. It's not about the price of it. So with what we're able to accomplish and build on the XRP ledger due to its speed, due to its cheap transactions, and due to its scalability, and reliability, which it has well past any other network in the space. We're able to build things like Reaper, where we can turn basically the debt system on its head. We can turn Ascension into a distribution system, Box into a verified social media with only real people. Pillars becomes floors, and Ark can fund real charities. And so everything that we build is about touching the real world and changing lives in a very real way. And we can do that because of the XRP Ledger. That can't happen on Ethereum in the way that we're doing it. It can't happen on Bitcoin.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So for all you dip-a-toers out there, what he's saying is, as he just listed out just a few of the projects that he himself is involved with that is specifically built on the XRPL. So how valuable actually is that XRPL? I would say it is intrinsic. It's priceless per se.
Absolutely. It's as valuable as the way that we use it and how much we use it and the way that we employ it to change real world situations and improve quality of life.
Man, I'm getting goosebumps over here in the sheet metal shop, man. That takes a lot to get my goosebumps going. So with all the when you're building on the XRPL, do you have to hold or contribute XRP in order to build on that?
Nope, it's not like Solana and other blockchains where you have to put out rent on Solana or on Ethereum. You generally have to account for the gas fees, especially if you're doing an airdrop. On the XRP Ledger, you can actually mint a coin for as little as 100 XRP. It costs about $50 right now. And then with that, you're able to distribute it for pennies, and you're able to get started and start changing lives immediately.
Wow. That's amazing. That's awesome, because I know other chains, like you mentioned for Solana, Ethereum, of course, is probably the most known for that. So I was just trying to relate some the intrinsic value of the XRPL, thus to that extension, XRP itself, the token, having value. But you've already gone over a little bit of value right there, talking about how you can mint and then distribute for literally pennies and have real world implications and a visual, real benefit in real time in the world we live in today, in the physical world. Sorry, I should differentiate that.
I have a question. Have you tried to build on any other blockchain other than, or did you just do your research and choose that one and begin?
So I chose the XRP Ledger to start because none of the others could actually do the services that we do. So on any given reaping or ascension, we're doing up to 50, sometimes 100,000 transactions in a single day to distribute passive income. So doing that on a Ethereum blockchain would be significantly costly in terms of gas, and on Bitcoin, it might be another 10 decades before you ever see it.
Yeah, well, that's touche.
I mean, yeah, touche. No argument there, because what you're trying to do needs to happen very fast. So can you, before I go, and I know I only got about 5 minutes here, in short, how does the Reaper project work with Ascension?
All right, so the Reaper project, what we do is the token itself is your voting mechanism, and based on how many tokens you hold, which is fully self-custody. So if you're a person out there who's not aware of crypto at all, and this is the Dip a Toe channel, so I want to explain this a little bit. So self-custody means you actually own your funds. You are holding them. No exchange, no business, no other entity is in control of your money. So all of our products are self-custody. And with Reaper, you are holding your tokens, and each token represents one vote. With those votes, you're able to decide which other cryptocurrency you want us to go out, purchase, and destroy on your behalf. So what that does, it lowers the total supply of a cryptocurrency. Well, you still have equal demand, and that causes a price elasticity that should appreciate the value of that cryptocurrency over time, because we are continually buying at market and destroying it. Now what we're adding into the Reaper ecosystem is debt reaping, which is in beta right now. You're able to use that same vote that you have in tokens and connect your bank account. We pull in your debts, your liabilities, so your mortgage, your car note, your student loans, and you're able to vote towards that. So instead of just going out and purchasing a cryptocurrency to burn on your behalf, now we're making a ACH, check, or wire transfer payment directly to your debt with your bank on your behalf. And we're doing it every 2 weeks. Now, Ascension is a distribution model. So it's a decentralized index fund in which we picked out about 16 of the highest quality assets possible on the XRP Ledger. So that includes wrapped Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, as well as a gold and silver backed token, which is redeemable, physical gold, physical silver. And we send those out every 2 weeks based on your vote on what you would like to receive. Currently, you're receiving the whole gamut, all 16. But in the near future, we're introducing applications similar to debt reaping, where you would be able to choose your passive income. So if you only want Bitcoin, if you only want gold or silver, you'll be able to allocate that. That's what you're going to get.
I got. I'm gonna go backwards.
I love it. I love it. No, I absolutely love it. I know we, Patrick, you and I had a small conversation about the infinite banking concept briefly, and then I mean what you're talking about here. I mean, like it just aligns with all those core principles that are in the infinite banking concept as well, man. It's, that's awesome. What an awesome projects, man. Real deal. Go ahead, Melissa. I'm smiling ear to ear like, ooh, this is exciting. Sorry.
I know. So this is gonna be a longer conversation. I definitely want to do a series because there's so much to what you just said in the last 3 minutes. But I kind of want to go back a little bit for our dipitoers. First, I do want to say hello. I didn't even realize we've got quite a busy chat going. We got 9 to 5 Freedoms here, Becky Forbes, Money Paradise is here, Lisa's here. I Gotta Be, our friend Gotta Be is in here. Drew, who else? Indy, I think, with charity.org. Thank you guys for coming. Crawfish is here. Thank you guys. Please share this space out so we can get more folks in here. We lost Patrick. He said that he's having some
Connectivity issues.
Yes, and so
Okay.
he said if he drops out, he will try to drop back in with his cell phone. So
did you see that? Did you see that PC? I just real quick, like, dude, that is a muscle car PC that he has right beyond, and it named itself with its own AI. Like, hello, wow,
dude, I can't even believe I know someone that has a computer that cool.
Like, you know what though? Real talk. Everybody keep your cell phones away from that guy. He can do some serious damage to your cell phone if he's trying to be sneaky and just fun. He can pull some instant pranks. I'm just kidding.
I just do want to read some, 9 to 5 Freedom says, hello, folks. Always great to hear Patrick's vision. I think it's Indie Odyssey. Good evening, Reapers. Lisa says, hey, guys. Simon, everyone's saying hello to Simon. There we are. There's Patrick back.
Okay, you heard the bell. This guy's got to go. Patrick, Patrick, thank you so much for answering those quick questions for all those people out in the diptoters, and I look forward to you being back on the show at some point and us having a real more than a 15-minute quick chat.
Sounds great, and I appreciate you, Simon.
Well, good talking. It was good to meet you in Vegas, Brugga. Maybe I'll swing by karaoke on Saturdays. All right, y'all take care. Be good.
Bye. Right. Have a good one. All right, so I want to go back a little bit as far as, with this being the Dipito show and we're with, it's kind of more for the beginner types. I kind of want to talk a little bit more about what it means to build a project on the XRP ledger or any ledger for that matter. And so you started touching on that and kind of why you chose the XRP ledger. But as you're talking about, you know, like you can mint a coin and things like that, for the layman people or those of us that don't build anything, what can you build on the XRP ledger? Like, other than something super complicated than what you've built, what are some examples of things that people can kind of dip their toe in and experience this XRP ledger?
Well, so one of the primary functionalities, you have your ability with any ledger to read the wallets and know what's in the wallets, right? So if we know what everybody has, we can denote that somebody like Melissa out here has a value of 100,000 of a token. Now, because we know she has that tokens, we also have the ability to do airdrops. So it's actually a very easy implement to say that now holding this token nets you X. So we're able to use tokens for distribution and give rewards to somebody for a self-custody ownership of an asset. But there are other projects out there that are using it in different and interesting ways. So we have Zoj out there who's building actually on 15 different chains and has an interoperability swap feature between chains that is enabled so that a Zoj on one chain should eventually be worth exactly what a Zoj on another chain is worth. And that's giving him an ability to kind of bridge in a different way. There's also meme coins out there. Schmeckles is a great meme coin, and they have some games, as does Zoj. And you can go out and play games for money. You can, or for tokens, excuse me. And you can win things, and you can compete, and you can really have that camaraderie. X Spectre is working on a full immersive metaverse, which is built on Unreal 5 engine. So it looks very much like any other modern video game. And you're able to go in there and interact socially with your peers in the crypto community and to learn about things. X Stick with some very wonderful art. Sumi Stick is a very talented artist. I think he might be Banksy, I'm not sure. But he's been able to crank out some really amazing customs. These aren't your AI generated art, but instead NFTs that are completely custom to your request. So there's lots of really cool things going on the XRP ledger.
Wow. So could you like, if you had a product or say you wanted to sell interest in something or sell a product, could you use the tokens like that? Well, there you go. I don't know what happened. I think I muted you. There we go.
Right, all right.
Sorry.
Sorry, I missed the last part of that question.
So I was asking if you could build something or sell something and use like if you're saying you're minting a token on there, you could create a token on it and then distribute those tokens to, like, say, I don't know, followers, or make it so that you could charge them to like you're saying, play the game or watch the show or whatever. Is that kind of something that somebody would use to be minting a coin on the XRP ledger, or are they just selling the coins? That's what I don't understand.
Yep. So you could use them that way. You could use them as rewards. You could sell them. And I know that xpmarket.com has initiated actually a launch protocol or a launch feature for tokens to set up their protocols and launch from that website directly. And that does offer the ability to do what would usually be referred to as a pre-sale. Now, I don't recommend pre-sales because that is a very hairy jurisdiction legality term. Personally, I have never done a pre-sale, and we don't do any kind of registration list for token airdrops. It's always been free. It's always been market price. But that is a possibility.
So now I probably won't ever really understand it until I really tried to do something myself. How easy is it for somebody that doesn't even know anything about doing it, would you recommend somebody just jumping in and trying to do it themselves?
Yeah, you can definitely learn through doing, but I wouldn't recommend launching a token if you're not sure what you're doing yet. Now, there is actually a website for the block.foundation, where if you go to the About Us section and look at the Constitution, we actually break down kind of the pitfalls for a creator of what's coming if you launch a token. So launching a token is a little bit like having a baby. It's always going to exist. It's always going to be out there in the ecosystem, and you can't take it back. So somebody is going to be purchasing that with their hard-earned money, and you, of course, don't want to. I would hope, and I know you, Melissa,
Right,
I would hope anyone listening doesn't want to hurt somebody and damage them financially or otherwise. So that said, you should always be looking at long-term and how you're going to support that token, not for just the next 5 years or 10 years, but infinitely from the time that you launch it. It needs to live on. So that is my big caveat to getting those in.
So great care needs to be taken prior to dipping a toe. You want to really go slow, which is something that I've done. Poor Rosemary. We have a mutual friend, Rosemary, who I met a couple of years ago, and that's how I met you. And she was explaining things to me, and at the time I was very overwhelmed because it sounds complicated. To hear you talk about it, it sounds very, like this is how it is, but for someone like me, I'm like, okay, like, wait a minute here. Like what exactly is it? So I want to kind of get into, so when I first met you, you were, the founder of Reaper Financial. And then I've seen the 3 white papers. And then I find that you were president of Atum Industries. And then I think that you've kind of changed to the Riley financial system. You want to touch on that a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you, going forward, do you want to be recognized as Riley Financial System, and are you going to kind of sunset the Reaper name, or what's the deal with that whole thing?
Yeah, so initially we relaunched as Reaper, and we called it the Reaper Economic System. And eventually we realized that the tokenomic system I created for Reaper could be applied to multiple different utilities, or really any utility. So it evolved into Ascension, and then from Ascension, Ark followed shortly. And eventually we had Pillars, and Box is a modified RES. So we call it a RES, but it's now the Riley Economic System, because it's no longer just Reaper Economic System. And Atum Industries, because we were popping up so many companies, we decided it made the best sense to put Atum Industries as the parent company that would house these other products underneath it. And that's really just for protection for each of the individual products. So as president of Atum Industries, I'm still overseeing all of them. I'm still the CEO for Reaper Financial. We do have Clint Bonner is the CEO for Ascension Index. Greg Pruitt's the CEO of Ark Institute. Kai Selekwa is the CEO of Box. And then for Pillars, we house that currently under Reaper Financial. But we do have a dedicated team for that as well.
Wow. So I apologize. I've been mispronouncing. I was calling it Atum, and it's Atum. I apologize for that. So how many folks do you have working for you in total? I mean, this is a large operation.
So we have about 50 people throughout all 7 different companies under Atum Industries.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So let's start at the beginning with your endeavor. Would it be Reaper? The initial idea was the reaping of debt, which I found. I've listened to a couple of interviews that you gave, and I'm so fascinated by it, by this concept. But can you tell our audience a little bit about that? And then I can ask my questions, because it's fantastic what you've come up with.
Yeah, so our current economic system, which we all know and dislike, is the fiat system, and that goes along with the debt system. So right now, most people don't necessarily know this, but if you go take a loan from a bank, that money is not actually coming from the bank or from anyone else's account in the bank. What the bank does is they create a debt and they assign that debt to you. And that is the creation of money in the fiat system, aside from just Treasury printing and the Federal Reserve printing. So those debts that accumulate, we can only borrow so much. So it used to be in the 20s that somebody could go out and get a job, a 9-to-5, support a family of 4 to 7 kids and a spouse. And with that, they'd be able to put away 25% of their wealth for the 20 years, and they could retire and they could live out their years. It then evolved from the 20s when we went into the Great Depression. We came out of that with what was a push for 401ks and Roth IRAs and things of that nature that were playing in the stock market. Yep. Well, we also saw the confiscation of gold and the Executive Order 6201, in which Truman basically underpaid for that gold. And I'm getting a little off topic here, but I'll swing it back around.
That's all right.
So basically, over the years, what happened is our wealth and our labor, if you will, has been stolen, because now at the current date, we are taxed at 40-some% directly out of our paycheck, as well as Social Security and Medicare, which our generation will probably never see. And then you're also encouraged to put into these 401ks and these IRAs, as that's your retirement, even though the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, is also putting their toes into the equity market and buying stocks and bonds and those things that they can turn around and dump at any time. The politicians are getting rich. You still have sales tax, you still have use tax, you still have gas tax, you still have carbon tax, you still have capital gains tax, property tax. And at the end of the day, the way our current system works is you don't own anything. We're already there. You do not own anything. And what my system does is it turns that on its head. So currently, if you went to buy a house, you'd take out a 30-year mortgage, and that is you selling your future to pay for your present. You're going to work for the next 30 years to be able to live in that house. And if anything goes wrong, you're going to refinance it, and you're going to pull some money out, and interest rates might be different. And between inflation and interest and taxes and everything, at the end of the day, when you pass away and hand that to your kids, they're paying capital gains on it. They can't keep it. They have to sell it, and it's at a loss. So you really had nothing. You just worked your whole life so that you could afford to live. Now, what my system does is it turns that on its head, so that the labor you've done in the past, the money that you've been paid, is now something you can buy the token with. So you've tokenized your labor, and that labor, that work you've already done, is affording you a future, because now it can make payments towards those debts that you take on. So as you accumulate that tokenized labor, that Reaper token, now you've accumulated your borrowing power and your ability to afford yourself a higher quality of life into the future. And because it's self-custody, it's fully within your control, you can pass that on to your children when that time comes.
Wow. Wow. So I really liked how you said, you know, you're selling out your present, you're selling out your future for your present life. Basically, you're burdening your future, not only your future self, but your future for your children, or any legacy that you might have been able to leave them. You're not able to do that in this current system. So you're saying people can, by buying the Reaper token, right? Is it a token or a coin? Okay.
Token.
That was another thing. I know I got confused in the very beginning of my journey. And I still get confused with calling them coins and tokens, because I know that there's a difference, right?
Yep.
what can you just real briefly, because you're so smart and good at explaining things, can you just briefly explain to the audience the difference between a token and a coin?
Sure. So a coin is something that is a currency. You're spending it, and that is really its only purpose. So Dogecoin, for example, even though it's a meme coin, it's something that you would go buy a coffee with at a Starbucks if you wanted to, because it's a coin. A token is something that's a ledger account. So it's something that we are now tokenizing it to see that you own it. It's not about spending it.
Ah, you know what? I've heard people explain this before, and no one explained it quite like that. That makes sense to me, what you just said. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And then our friend Gotta Be says coins are layer 1, tokens are built on those. That's how yeah, that is how I explained. That is how it was explained to me. But of course, that didn't make exactly that much sense when I heard about it at first. So okay, so Reaper is a token, and when people put money, so they buy these Reaper tokens, and then the Reaper tokens do what for them? So okay, first, are people buying them every week, every pay period? Is that kind of what people are doing? Or are they buying them at a certain, like just a bulk of them, or?
Well, so that's completely up to the holder or the person who wants to purchase an RPR token. You could buy it once and simply hold that one token till your heart's content. Or if you wanted a dollar cost average in, of course, that's always a good strategy. Some people, what I expect they'll do in the future is they'll snowball it off of their debt payments. So, for example, if you had a rental property and you were renting it out for $4,000 a month, but your mortgage on it's $2,800 a month, you have a $1,200 difference. If that $1,200 difference was put into RPR every month, it would accelerate the rate at which you're paying off the mortgage on that property. And then it would accelerate the rate at which you could take a cash out refinance to buy a second property and repeat the cycle. So this is really a force multiplier for those people who choose to use it in that way. Otherwise, if you're just making a $100 payment towards your mortgage per month on a 30-year mortgage, you actually end up paying it off about 7 years early, simply by reducing that interest that is accumulating on that mortgage.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're actually tokenizing, I guess I would say. I mean, they've said that for a long time. If you pay off pay extra payments on your mortgage, you can cut your mortgage amount down significantly, over several years or whatever. You're using the Reaper token to do that. So how does that work? How does I heard you talk about connecting it with your debts. Once you set yourself up and you buy these Reaper tokens, where does the money come from to pay towards the debt? So without spending your Reaper token, how does that work?
So you wouldn't lose any tokens, and we're actually paying you a passive XRP drip as well every 2 weeks. But the way we do it is we started the ecosystem with 100 million tokens, and then each month we mint 1 million tokens. Now that is inflationary, but it is a deflationary inflation, because the first month it was 1%. The second month it's less than 1% because there's 101 million tokens, so we've only minted 1 million. So every month that additional 1 million is split up into every 2 weeks, and we sell it at market into the limit buy orders that are already placed on the books. The people who have said, I want more Reaper token, I understand what it is, I understand what it does, and I want some. So we are selling into whatever the market price is, and using those funds that we generate every 2 weeks, we have funds that we can use to action the utility. The utility spread is that 50% goes towards debt reaping and reaping of tokens based on the votes of the holders. And every vote is honored, regardless of where you decided you wanted to send it. If there's a token or a debt that you voted for, we're going to do our our best to go out and purchase that token and destroy it, or we're going to do our best to get that payment to your bank. Now, of course, we are in beta right now. It is a little rough. Some banks are a little bit rough around the edges and antiquated or archaic, but we are working those kinks out. With the other 50% of the funds generated, what we do right now is there's a 25% drip stimulus, so that's paid out immediately to all holders in the form of XRP. And we are also building a permanent drip fund. That permanent drip fund currently is about 454,000 XRP, which backs the RPR ecosystem. So that creates a floor, and that is to say that the total number of tokens divided by the total number of XRP, or excuse me, I have that the wrong way around. The total XRP divided by total number of tokens gives us our XRP floor price. Now that has historically risen every single reaping. So that means that our floor price continues to rise, and Reaper is always going to be worth more tomorrow than it is today. But also if XRP's price were to go through the roof, as it could do at any time, then that means there is a minimum price or value which Reaper would be worth, and it would go up with XRP as it continues to rise.
Wow. Okay, so I got to back up a little tiny bit. So the money that is used to pay for, to either burn these other tokens or burn the debt. Am I saying that right? Reap the debt. Yep. That money is from the new sales of people coming in to buy Reaper tokens, right?
So it's based off the market sale and market price. Yes. So every 2 weeks we do a market sale, and then the funds generated from that, determined by the community based on what they think it's worth at the current time, then that is the amount of funds generated.
And do you have a limit then? Okay, I'm sorry, because I'm asking, I hope I don't frustrate. We have 156 people watching. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so so there's a specific amount that you sell every time. So you already know how many you're going to sell, and then the price is determined what the sale price is going to be, right? For new people or existing people wanting to buy more Reaper tokens. And then that is, am I misspeaking?
Well, so the price is determined by the buy orders. So we are selling into the buy orders.
Okay. You're selling into the buy orders. And so then once you get the revenue from the sale of the Reaper tokens that you just sold, then that money is distributed based on the different divisions that you've said, 50% is held for this and so much is held for that. And so then based on the amount that is for the reaping itself, then whatever you voted for, that little pool of money gets divided up into the holders of these Reaper tokens, no matter how many, depending on how many you have. And then that is how much money is going to get paid to either towards your debt or to burn the token that you want to burn. Am I correct?
Exactly. So each Reaper token has an equal value in how much control over the funding it has to direct. So that means that it's a completely egalitarian system where you're going to get back what you put in, and that's up to you. If you wanted to put $10 in, you're going to receive $10 worth of response, that fraction. And if you put in more, then you would be controlling that much more of the ecosystem.
Wow. So really, I mean, okay. It's kind of, it's dependent upon selling more Reaper, right? So if you didn't sell any more Reaper, say this month you sold none, what would happen?
So if we sold none, we would still have the permanent drip fund as a backing, but we are always going to be able to produce that additional 1 million tokens per month because of the way we've set up the protocol. And we are not a black hole token, but we are limited to that 1 million per month. So we know that there will always be more funds or more RPR coming into existence. And basically there is not really a scenario where we wouldn't be able to sell those additional tokens to bring in additional funds. It's just a matter of what is that worth to the market. If the market were to say that was worth what the floor price is, basically, then we would be selling those into the floor price. However, whatever is sold into that XRP floor is then burnt. So that would completely cancel out that mint while also bringing funds in, but a portion of those funds are then again added to the floor price. So that floor has still risen and we are still appreciating the value of Reaper.
Mm-hmm. I guess I can see, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to think this out in my mind. As the price appreciates, right? The more successful and people catch on to this and realize, perhaps I could take my paycheck and, I mean, this is how my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong in thinking this, I kind of am aligning it to, the principle of having a dependent care account, right? Where now this is completely different than but this is how my mind is working, just so you know. So with a dependent care account, you're getting a little tax savings by having this deducted from the paycheck, right? So people will kick that for doing it, but they don't actually let you spend. You have to pay first, and then you get paid first. Accounts that they have set up, the government allows people to do to save taxes. But basically what people have to do in a sense is get themselves ahead by a couple of paychecks so that as they get paid back all the time, they're not missing a beat. They're not missing any money. And so when you're talking, and then, so I know while that is completely different than what you're doing, my mind is going to where if you could get yourself ahead, right, with this Reaper, and you get your paycheck and you buy more Reaper, and you're getting yourself more of a percentage in the pot that's going to go towards reaping your debt, you could actually use that like greatly to your advantage, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's where my mind is going with this whole thing. But I just wonder, like, as it gets, how much does it cost right now to purchase one Reaper token?
It's about 1 cent.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, all right. So right now, 1 cent is like, holy smokes, right? That's incredible. Eventually, as this gets, more people catch on. I'll just be honest with you guys. And some people are probably going to roll their eyes. And Rosemary will probably remember our conversation, but the whole Reaper thing kind of freaked me out. I'll tell you, it kind of turned me off a little bit because I was just like, oh, is this something evil? I don't know. I'm one of those people on the internet. I didn't understand really what this whole thing was about. And then, of course, I met you guys and I'm like, well, that doesn't reconcile. These guys are super smart and good people and fun and loving and caring. And so I'm like, all right, I'm totally misunderstanding. I knew Rosemary wouldn't be involved with anything that was bad. And so then when I started hearing your interviews with the reaping and the debt reaping, I'm like, okay, this makes sense to me. Right. This makes sense. But initially it took me a while to get on board with the whole thing. And, I don't know. I'm silly that way sometimes.
Well, and that's totally fair. And I think you actually alluded to this earlier. So the Reaper is a little bit offstandish for a lot of people. And so we actually are kind of using that as a filter right now. We're not trying to market to the biggest crowd. We're trying to market to the high quality crowd. The people who will kind of dig into the white paper and see those things for now. And there will come a time where we have to, make this grandma friendly. To speak. But that's an evolution that we've got to get to. So for now, the people that are going to benefit the most are the people who are looking past certain things to see kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
but there is an element of filtering to what we do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds absolutely incredible. Like what a clever idea. It makes sense. I just wonder as the price goes up, like the more people that figure this out, like what my little eureka moment that I just had, thinking, gosh, you know, if you could get yourself in Simon's right, it is very similar to the infinite banking concept. You know, it's in line with that way of thinking. Um, and to be able to use something new like this technology and tokenizing the debt and, you know, being able to kill that debt, um, I mean, that's just really cool. I just wonder as the price gets higher and higher, um, how, how does that, like, where do you see that going? Say as it gets up to, you know, $100 for one Reaper token, or do you ever see it getting that high? I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't really, I'm not talking about because like, oh, I want to make money off Reaper token. I'm just wondering as it expands, you know, what do they call it? Scaling out or something? What does the scaling out look like for this?
So I'll put it this way. So I'm going to do it on the calculator right now, and I've never actually calculated this, but there's about $400 trillion worth of global debt right now. So I got million, billion, trillion. Okay, so $400 trillion, and the current supply is only about 127 million Reaper. Now, of course, it would take a while for those gain true adoption, but it would actually take us 8,600 years to have an equal supply to XRP.
Whoa, yeah.
So it is inflationary, but not very inflationary. If that's kind of my point. So let's say we're at, just for a round number, 400 million tokens, and that's probably about 15 years from now that we would reach that. Somebody can do the math, but so 400 trillion divided by 400 million would put it at 1 million. Now, I'm not saying that Reaper can reach $1 million in 15 years, but I'm saying that the debt that needs to be eliminated that is out there, and the amount of demand for Reaper certainly tells me that there's potential for growth. Now, I of course don't want to make a price prediction, but it does mean that if you buy, you know, $10 worth of Reaper today, and that's at 1 cent, and you have 1,000 Reaper, and it goes up to a price relative to the size of the market we're tackling, then that could be a significant difference and a significant amount of debt raping utility for that person.
Wow. So, oh man, see, this is why I say you have so many projects going. This conversation is I mean, I still have so many more questions when it comes to this, and I feel like this is a really important project that you've created, and the fact that it is built upon the XRP ledger. Now, here's a question: when you are you not just anybody can connect and pay these debts, so what is going what how come my bank is going to allow Reaper Financial to attach and accept a payment from you on my behalf?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of coordination going on kind of behind the scenes. So when you log into our system and want to connect your debts, you're working with one of our partners, Plaid, who is Plaid. If many are going to be familiar with from crypto.com or Coinbase or other services that offer bank onboarding, but basically Plaid is going to connect you to log into your bank. So as you log into your bank, it's giving us all of your metadata. It's giving us your name and connecting that with your KYC AML. And it's going to verify you're the right person connecting to this bank. And it's also going to allow us to see your account number and routing numbers of your liabilities and what type of accounts they are. So now we're pulling those into our system and we're displaying them in your interface so that you can see, here's my student loan net debt, my car note, my mortgage, whatever it is. And now you're able to assign the amount of your Reaper token holdings that you want to vote towards that debt by percentage. So you can put 50% or you can put 100%. It's up to you. Now, when we see your vote and we log the vote that comes in at the end of the reaping, now we see, okay, there's this many Reaper tokens have allocated a vote towards this specific debt. And we're dividing the total amount of funds against the total amount of Reaper tokens that voted. So per the number of tokens you hold, we've said, okay, you're getting $150 of debt repayment, and you want it to go towards this debt. What we do is we take all of the funds for debt reaping and we send it over to our payment processor, who has, the 50 state money transmitter licenses and all of those fancy shebang. And now we are sending through their API the requests for the payments from our account with them to be sent out to your bank directly to that debt. So we aren't buying the debt. You still have the debt with your regular bank. Nothing has changed in that regard. But we are simply sending that payment to your bank on your behalf because you have signed and agreed to do so by signing up through Plaid.
So, okay. So when you say you're, so I think I misunderstood initially. When you're connecting it to your bank, you don't mean your bank where your money's going in and you can see all your accounts and all of that. You're saying you're connecting it directly to the bank that holds the debt that you're choosing to vote on. And
Yes.
so if I have, if I have 3 accounts at 3 different banks, I would have to Plaid approve them or whatever to to get them connected to Reaper somehow, right?
Yep.
But it's not like you're not like nosing in my checking account and seeing all my accounts and
So we can
all of
see
that.
those. We can see your checking account if we cared enough to go in and find an individual and look. To be clear, we do have that capability, but it's not really of any interest to us. What we're pulling in is just those liability accounts. And we do not have any ability to charge your accounts. We don't need that ability, and we aren't taking or sending money from or to your checking account or savings account. We're simply pulling in that liability so we know where to send the payment to.
Okay. And can you give an example of another company that uses Plaid in this way? Is there any other type of that we could compare it to for people that might not understand how this is working?
So there's really no one that's doing anything like what we're doing yet. We're very novel in that sense. We don't have a competitor yet. I'm sure one will come along as it's a very big market, and I'm sure other offerings will happen. But currently, as it stands, there's no competitor.
So you guys had to. It couldn't have been easy for you to get approval to be able to. I mean, like this is a lot of information that you have access to, right? They're not going to just give any Joe Schmo access to something like this. So I'm assuming there was some kind of, a lot of things that you had to do in order to even get approved. What type of approval did you have to obtain to even be able to do what you're doing?
So Plaid, Circle, and our money processor or our payment processor are all have their own requirements, but for each of them, they wanted to see our KYC AML protocols, so our anti-money laundering policies. They all want to know that we're in touch with FinCEN and other, which is the Financial Center Enforcement Agency. And we of course have legal representation. Fred Rispoli is our chief legal counsel, so we have a legal opinion letter. and basically proving our credentials, or that we are capable of doing this and carrying it out to each of those companies that we are partnered with. And of course, we are utilizing their licenses in what we are doing. So their licenses are, of course, sacred to them. So we did have to gain their trust and confidence, that we are a legitimate company doing legitimate things, and we've managed to do so. And we're continuing to look for other partners to grow our influence.
Yeah, so this is not just some guys in this mother's basement that created a meme token on the XRP ledger. This is a well thought out, vetted project. The likes of FinCEN and Circle and Plaid, those guys, you're right, they're not going to allow you to come within a 10-foot pole of what they're doing using their service. I can't imagine that they would want that. And I do recognize Plaid, and I do recognize Circle. And of course, I mean, FinCEN, if you're communicating with them and, playing by their rules. So, wow, that I mean, that definitely makes me even more interested. Something that interesting that popped in my mind was you're speaking at uh, this conference next month. And that conference, there's quite a lot of the Nasara Jasara talk there, support. Where do you stand on that? Because this kind of seems like if that were going to come true, your debt reaping aspect or part of this might not be needed in the future.
Yep. So I'm not a proponent to the Nisara Gisara. I do know all of the facts surrounding it, and I do know it was a legitimate proposal at one point that went through the government, and in the early 2000s, it was a strong possibility. I will say that I'm building things to solve the problems as the people want them solved. I'm not relying on anybody else to come in with a magic wand and wipe all the debts clean. If that happened, I'm not going to be mad about it, but I'm not going to wait on that to happen or wait on the magic wand to come in and solve all our problems.
Yeah, it's a proactive approach that you. Cool thing is that it sounds like if that does happen and the debts are wiped clean, then you can just turn your attention on burning all the crap tokens that are out there.
Yeah,
right?
and even if all the debts are wiped clean, people are still going to want to borrow. There's still going to be people
Exactly.
who don't have a home and want a home, and so they're going to borrow to get one. So debt will always be a part of the economy, but what I've built is really a counteraction to that debt to make it so that it is no longer a ball and chain. It can be an asset itself.
I mean, I could really see, if I could see something like this being set up, like say I start buying into it and this becomes successful and, it's there forever. I could give this to my grandchildren.
Yep.
And when they're going to buy a house, then they've got the Reaper, it just already sets them up.
And that's a really important point, because now let's think about that situation where you've given this to your grandchildren and it's become, because Reaper is not that inflationary and it's become valuable. Now your grandchildren are quite wealthy with what they've inherited and they don't need to work. And there could be quite a few of the population that has that situation. But we are heading into the AI and robotics age where about 85% of jobs that exist today do not need to exist in perhaps 5 to 10 years, especially in 20 years. So there's a significant reduction in the workforce that is coming simply because of innovations that are happening. And how do we afford those people who are not working a quality of life in the future? And the answer is that if they've already contributed to this system, then this system is affording them a quality of life, and they don't have to work. Potentially somebody in the future will be able to work 2 to 5 years of their life and retire. And that's a humanity I think we are actually headed towards within the next 100 years. So with this, the way I like to phrase it is, what if we replaced Social Security and Medicare with a RES system like Reaper? Now, Social Security and Medicare is $1.2 trillion per year that goes into the system. So the people who have already done the labor, they put the work in, they've earned into it, they are receiving the benefit of the future workforce based off that 50% that's going towards the reaping. But you, when you put in, you're influencing the amount you're going to get from that Social Security Medicare allotment, the 50% being $600 billion. That's going to grow over time as that money grows with inflation. So now you don't necessarily need to continue to work and drain and kill your soul for another 50 years. You actually have a future simply off of what you've done. And that's really important, because we are going into a situation where there's a lot of governments have already tried out universal basic income. Yeah. Universal basic income is communist, socialist, and it doesn't work, is the main problem. But this is a utilitarian earned income. So if you have a utilitarian earned income where what you put in is what you receive back, now if only 15% of the population is doing the work, it still makes sense. It's still capitalism, and people can still live healthy, happy, high quality lives.
Yeah. Wow. I have to say, there's 208 people watching. I'm so excited. Please like, share, and subscribe to our Dip a Toe show. We're trying to grow our channel. If you're watching on YouTube, we're at Dip a Toe, and Rumble, same. We don't have a lot of followers. It'd be super great to have 200 followers when we left. And then on X, we're at Dip a Toe show. I wanted to say there is a ton of conversation going on in the chat, and I apologize because I am like trying to understand everything you're saying, and so I know that I have missed questions. If anyone has a question, a pressing question that they would like answered, would you please put it in the chat again, and maybe say like answer me or something, so that I can see it easily, because it's let's see, Money Paradise says this stream is lightning in a bottle. Yeah, man. That's awesome. Oh yeah, and our friend JTXRP said, don't forget to smash that like button, because we need that. Okay, so we're gonna buy the Reaper, and it's going to go towards whatever we want to pay for whatever debt we decide. Realistically, right now, and you can tell or you don't. Can you just give it a little bit of an example of a small fraction of a payment that maybe somebody is making extra on a bill? It doesn't have to be, say if they have, 10,000 Reaper tokens or whatever. What kind of little dollars are they putting towards their extra debt right now?
Yeah,
with a small little bet.
I'll use myself as an example. So we've successfully done end-to-end payments on mine, and I don't necessarily watch how much goes to what debt. I don't dig into the weeds on people's accounts, and I know that's, of course, privacy is a huge concern. So for myself, I hold about 1.9 million Reaper token, which I purchased the majority at market, as well as some founders tokens. But that currently was about a $56 payment towards my car note, which is not, huge. But this is a very early, very novel project, and we're just getting started. And once we have left beta and we have a fully functional debt reaping protocol, then that makes this a very different type of company and a very different type of marketing strategy in the way that we'll be able to approach it. And we've really held down the marketing until we have the protocol active and live. And we want to have the product before we take the product to market.
Yeah. No, and that makes completely sense. Completely sense. Let's see what she's picking herself. Oh, I don't know. Someone says, I have a question. How's Atum doing? This is from Crypto Ace.
So I think he's actually not talking about Atum Industries. I think he's talking about Atum My Cat, which is what Atum Industries is named after.
And it is a little cat next to it. You're right.
She is doing great, and she's a very chill little Sphinx cat.
No, very nice. So okay, so you're not going to make bank off of this right away. Although let's face it, how many people are buying these crap tokens, these shit tokens, that they like have no idea why they're buying them, except for everyone says they're funny and somebody on YouTube or X are pushing them, and then you end up getting yourself trapped and you can't get out of them anyway. So it looks like you made a bunch of money, but you really didn't, because you can't sell them.
Well, so, and you're right. And that's a lot of the crypto market that is nothing but landmines right now. And the pump and dumps, the problem with all those pumps and everyone chasing the pumps is, for somebody to win, somebody has to lose. For you to make profit, somebody else is buying up what you're selling. And as inevitably they all do, that parabolic rise comes with a rebound and a fall. So with Reaper, we're not about that at all. We're not about price action. We don't talk about price for the most part, with few exceptions. We do talk about XRP price because that's different. It's layer one for us. But as Reaper, it's not about get rich quick, and it never will be. It's about attain wealth inevitably, and with that wealth, afford yourself a higher quality of life. And that's what we are really going for.
Mm-hmm. So you're bringing up XRP. I kind of want to shift to that tad. So you said people are able to make. So not only are they able to buy these Reaper tokens and vote for reaping whatever debt they want, they're also going to earn a little bit of XRP. Is that every month, every quarter? How does that work?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay. And then that's based on, like you said at the beginning, you buy so much, or you sell so much, and then out of that it gets divvied up into the different, so much is going towards reaping, and so much is going towards your base for the company type thing, and then so much is going back in XRP to split amongst the Reaper holders. Do I got that right? And
yep. 25% immediate drip stimulus that goes out. 25% of funds generated every 2 weeks. So that is the total number of RPR in circulation. Once again, we're dividing that XRP against it. We have our per RPR, how much XRP we're sending, and then based on what's on your wallet, we're airdropping that XRP to you. So again, full self-custody. You are not giving up control of your funds to us. We don't want it. We are going to read how much you hold, and we're going to send you that XRP for simply holding.
Wow. And so given said example, you have, I don't remember how many you said you had, million tokens. How much XRP would that give you every 2 weeks if you held that many? Just yeah.
So I've received, depending on price, it's been anywhere between 50 to 300 XRP every 2 weeks.
Wow. That's incredible. And so basically, even the other thing that is, my eureka moment, because there's some that it's going to be held for the company itself, right? So as XRP price rises, that is also the stability of the company overall, right? And the Reaper itself token's going to rise in price.
Exactly. So for example, if now I'm a TA guy, so I really only project price for XRP based off technical analysis of the charts. But currently, our market cap is 1.3 million, roughly, give or take, for Reaper. And XRP, I project a safe price within the next year of $22. So if that happened with what is currently in the permanent drip fund, that would put the minimum market cap of Reaper at about $10 million. If XRP were to go to $290, as the chart suggests that it could within this next bull run, then that would make us $130 million market cap token at a minimum.
Wow. Yeah. Holy smokes.
Now, and I also want to add to that. So one of the main features of that permanent drip fund is that even though we are using that to back the total value of RPR out there, we can put 50% of it as a limit buy order to make sure that you would have to sell more than 50% of the total supply into it before we'd have to worry about it. But then we can take the other 50% once we hit a parabolic peak in the next bull run, and we can basically de-risk that into the stable coin that Ripple is bringing out or into other stable coins. And we can wait till the bottom of the next bear market to put that back into XRP. So now we're able to preserve that value, that potential 130 top. We'd be able to preserve at least half of that. So then the next bear market, we are in a much better position, and we can repeat that cycle with each bull bear market.
Have you talked to high level financial people? Have you had meetings with high level financial people? I'm just curious on the reaction that you must be receiving.
It really just depends who you consider a high level financial person.
Yeah, true story. True story. Well, let's say, have you spoke with people that you respect, financial people that you respect, that know, that understand finance and basically the way the game is played currently, and what was their response?
So I've many people that are peers, or I would consider peers, from my MBA in Syracuse, and I still talk to quite a few of my alumni or classmates. Most of them went into either personal financial advising or some type of mortgage underwriting industry. So all of them are very excited and impressed and ready to use these products as they come out. And the personal financial advisor market within the United States is about 330,000 individuals who each might be advising between one family up to 50, sometimes more individuals. And that market will be one of the first we begin approaching with this product, because those personal financial advisors definitely understand this. And they definitely see how this is something they can offer their customer, in whether it's in a wrapped form or whether it's directly. That's not really our business, but they can offer this to their customer and give them a way out of their debt. And that is what most of the people coming to them are looking for.
I mean, think about this, when you probably already have thought about it. I remember back in the day, now they don't sell it too much now, but back in the day, they used to sell insurance for missed payments on your mortgage, right? That was some of the mortgage brokers that would, close on your mortgage, and that they would offer these different options for you to pay, or, like people pay PMI insurance, all that kind of stuff too. But this was an actual insurance that you bought yourself to, in the event you got sick or whatever, it would pay your mortgage for you. I could see something like Reaper token being an add-on. Hey, if you want to buy into this is something we recommend you do. I could totally see that happening.
And that's exactly where we're going to take it after. So phase 4 is debt reaping. Phase 5 is going after small businesses. But phase 6 includes banking. And going for a small bank, we are looking to acquire a banking charter and a small bank. And what we'd be able to do is basically take what we have right now when you get a mortgage is you get 100% of actual retail value, but you get 125% loan to value that a bank can loan to you. That 25% on top of the actual value of your house is usually used for your closing costs, your realtors and fees and all of those other things, and sometimes to put some furniture in there.
Right.
But what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to give you as a bank that 100% loan to value, and then within that other 25%, the purchase of RPR, which is held in trust against that loan and continues to make a payment on it. Now, what that would do is potentially cancel out your interest rate and pay that mortgage off early. And it also guarantees for the bank that there is always some money being paid towards that mortgage, regardless of what happens.
Wow. Yeah, this is big, guys. I feel blessed to know you. I feel blessed to be able to say, yeah, I met Patrick. I should have got your autograph when I met you in Las Vegas. Because this is an incredible idea. It's very clever, Patrick. I don't even know if clever is the right word. It's a well thought out. I want somebody to tell me why it won't work. You know, I can't see where I can't see where it wouldn't work. This makes sense to me.
Yep, and really the biggest hurdle, of course, for this industry is regulatory. So we were the 13th amicus briefing for the SEC versus Ripple Labs case, in which the SEC actually responded in one of the footnotes. I think it was 51 or 54 or something like that in their reply briefing, saying that this essentially had their case against XRP and Ripple Labs had no bearing whatsoever on tokens built on the XRP ledger. So between the ruling that XRP is not a security and the footnote, basically the admission by the SEC that they were not going after what we were doing, because what we're doing is a utility, we have pretty much the best regulatory clarity that we could have without a actual bill or legislation passing. Now, of course, today FIT 21 did go through the House. It still has to make it through the Senate and the executive branch. I do expect it will. And that pulls it all out of the SEC and into the CFTC anyways. So that's to our benefit. The other thing I get a question about a lot of the time is, oh, why would banks allow this? And the easy answer on that is, well, the banks are getting paid. So the banks aren't going to turn away free money. We are helping people to make payments towards their debts. This does not bother them. So they're more than happy to comply with what we're doing.
Wow. Somebody... Again, I'm so darn sorry that I don't want to be rude looking at the comments. So K-Buddy, hey, my friend, Rosemary, what other token can you hold that pays you an XRP every 2 weeks? Drip payment steady every time. I don't know of any. Is there?
There is one. It's called Pillars, which is also on the Atum Industries.
Let's see. Yeah, this is JT wanted to know if we covered the new legislation that just passed, 20% holdings at all, and how that would affect the company or the space. So I think you just kind of addressed that. Yeah. Crypto Ace says that Congress can suck my bananas.
Well, I wonder how many bananas he has.
I know, right? Let's see if there's any other question. Well, so one other thing is, should I get your autograph? No doubt. Yeah, you should get his autograph, Rosemary. Oh, Cheap Suit said, did he just say 100% loan to value? I'm going to have to rewatch this when I'm not at work. What the hell? Yeah, I'm going to have to replay this back, Cheap Suit. I was going to take notes and I'm like, silly, it's recorded. You don't have to take notes. Yeah. Did you say 100% loan to value?
100%. I might have, maybe I misspoke. I'm not sure, but 100% actual retail value is the price of the house, what it's worth. 125% loan to value is what you're able to borrow against that house. So that 25% is the difference. So that 100% actual value is what we'd be giving as a bank to help you buy your house. And then the 25% difference is what could be used within up to that 25% to put some Reaper as a collateral against the house. And that would be basically held in trust to continue to reap that mortgage.
Wow. So that I want to ask about the idea of this burning of the tokens. See, this is the thing. And I knew this was going to be like way more than just, oh, let's ask you a question and talk for 20 minutes. And thanks, Patrick. Bye. Because that doesn't really answer my questions, when it comes to this. And I really, really do want to understand this. So we've touched on the fact of being able to choose the debt that you want to reap and be able to pay some of your debt off early. What if somebody doesn't want to do that? Explain the idea of burning, like voting on different tokens that people are wanting to be gone, or are there other reasons why people are choosing certain tokens to burn? Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So when we go out and burn tokens, we're actually purchasing off the limit sell orders. So we're giving exit liquidity to people who have placed the sell orders. So there is an avenue for people to use this system to make money as they sell those tokens that they may happen to hold. But if they happen to hold them and not sell them, then they know that evidently over time, as the supply is decreased, there is a thinner sell wall or a thinner order book, and it is easier for that price to reach a new all-time high, or easier for that price to ascend. And even if there were, say, the last 100 Schmeckles tokens in the world in existence, let's say, because we burnt all the other Schmeckles tokens and they've got all 100 of what's left. Now they could set the price of one Schmeckles token to $1 million, and it doesn't matter if that's what it happens to be priced at. We're still going to use the same amount of funds to go out and purchase as much of it as we can, regardless of the price. So it's a way for us to provide basically a ongoing demand for a token, because when we purchase it and we burn it, it's no different than if some very large whale comes along, buys a bunch of that token up, and just held it forever and never got rid of it.
This is what the first thing that popped in my head was weapon against whales. That kind of popped in. It did, honestly, when you were talking, I'm like, okay, Simon and I talked about paywalls and sell walls and how people use it to manipulate price, particularly with these shit coins that people get trapped in. Sorry for my language, people. But they do it on purpose. They trap people, they pump it all up, and then you get over there and you're like, you can't buy, you can't sell, you're kind of stuck. If I guess it depends on the mindset of the folks that are participating in the voting system, as to whether they want to collectively go after a particular wall, say, to kind of take down that wall or whatever, right? I mean,
exactly.
You use it as a tool for that, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So if there was a sell wall that you wanted to break, we're going to be buying into it or buying against it every 2 weeks until it breaks, and inevitably it will break. And really another thing I'd like to kind of circle back to with how this ecosystem works, because we also have Ascension and Pillars. With Reaper, we're purchasing and burning, so we're creating a deflationary supply for any token. With Ascension, we're purchasing and distributing, So we're fighting stagnation. So there's also an ongoing demand, and there's new users or new people receiving that at any given time who happen to be new to Ascension. And with pillars, we're creating a floor price that continues to rise. So between the three of them, we are lessening supply, increasing demand, and supporting the bottom price that cannot go any lower than what we rise it to every 2 weeks, and it continues to rise. So between those three tokens, we're able to turn really any name token or any token at all into a full-blown utility token.
Wow. I mean, that's exciting, really, when you think about it. I mean, you could actually save somebody who actually started a project and like minted a coin, right? And they didn't really think things out well enough and whatnot. You know, you could maybe help them out even with this.
Exactly.
So do you have like conversations surrounding like, are you finding that most people are just really wanting to reap their own debt at this point? Or are they really looking at this as an opportunity to burn some of these tokens? And I do want to ask this too, because I don't quite understand, what does it mean to burn a token? Like where does it go? What does it mean?
So essentially, when we burn a token, we are destroying its code and its existence completely. And the way we do that is by sending it to a dead wallet or sending it to the issuer wallet, where it can no longer be reissued, and it is simply gone forever. It will never circulate again.
Wow. Yeah, that's an easy peasy thing. That's kind of, I think Simon had told me a story that he accidentally had sent early on in this space, sent some coin to a dead wallet, and it's just, it's impossible to get to it. It's just there and never to be touched again. Wow. And so is there a reconciliation process or verification of sorts for folks to know that you did indeed burn those tokens?
Yes, there is. So we put out receipts every reaping. So we put out the full list of tokens that were voted on, the number of votes, as well as the number that was purchased and destroyed, and the number of XRP that was dedicated to going out and purchasing and destroying it. And then all of our wallets that we do this with are very public. So they're able to go out and check the ledger and view that those tokens were burnt appropriately. They can also check the supply of that token. If it's on the XRP ledger, it will reflect the burn as a lower total supply circulating for that token.
Wow. Wow. Let's see if we have any questions. Crypto A says, anything that costs money is cheap. Remember the future barons and baroness. Okay. Oh, would you classify Reaper token a reflection token?
So I'm not actually sure what he means by reflection token. So if you could clarify that one for me, Kung Tek Fu. I'm not sure what you mean by reflection token.
Yeah, I don't know what that either. Let's see. It's been once, ring token. Buy schmeckles, not financial advice. What's a schmeckel? Tell me, just for fun. What is a schmeckel?
So Schmeckles is a meme coin, and it's started by a gentleman out of Australia, James Ray. Great quality guy. But my understanding is it's from Rick and Morty, which was basically a cartoon for adults that was on Adult Swim. And he actually has the buy-in of the Rick and Morty team, has approved him to use their logos and their images and all of those things. So wow. He's got their blessing, and he's got this meme coin. And I guess Schmeckles is in one of the episodes, but to be honest, I've only watched a few episodes here and there. I don't have a lot of time for TV, but I guess it's a kind of a cult following for the Rick and Morty TV show or cartoon.
Well, it's a perfect example of what you could build a show token, right? let's see. Are you still taking token suggestions to burn to be added to the reaping list for voting burning? When do you see that list expanding?
Yep. So we have slowed down on adding tokens to the reaping list. What we're looking to do is once the beta has been completed, when we go into the open use case for the full debt reaping tool and token reaping tool, we're looking to automate those transactions and those burns so that the purchase and destruction of tokens voted on would be fully automated. And in that, we'll be able to allow users to go in and add their own tokens manually with a few gates. So as long as there's, X number of wallets and, things of that nature and a certain amount of volume per day. And basically, it's not a completely dead coin or a coin that somebody minted by themselves just to reap it. Then they'll be able to add that in and we'll be able to automate that so the system does it all on its own without us having to do that. But currently we have about 20 coins, and it does take a full day to go through the full protocol process for Reaper, Ascension, Pillars, and Ark, and to complete all of the different tasks that are associated with that in a manual process. But once we have automation, that's really not a concern, and we'll be happy to bring more in.
Wow. Well, I'm going to go on to this question, but you did mention something that sparked and I want to apologize. Simon just threw in the chat, keep the mic close, homie. So I must not be coming in full on the end.
Yeah, your mic is cutting out for a little while and then it comes back. I'm not sure if it's
that's terrible.
Or if it's just it could be a cord or is loose.
Every time I think I get this technology stuff down and I think I got it licked, it ends up having some kind of problem. Let's see. Crypto A says, I have a question for Patrick. What is the token Banca, and why does Reaper have such a large holding to burn under a designated wallet?
So Ace and I know each other. He loves asking compromising questions, but Banca is an AI project that's built on ERC20 Ethereum, and it was released back in 2016. So it's been out there for a while, and it's kind of slumped off in its following, but it was way ahead of the curve in AI, and it was basically a design for smart contracts to be able to go out, touch things in the real world, learn from them, and change what was in that smart contract before it reached its destination. So it was a very intuitive design, and knowing who made that design and where it came from, Reaper is happy to burn it. And so instead of burning little bits all at one time, we do have a Ethereum wallet for the Reaper. It's the reaperio.eth. And we are storing it up in there so we can do a big burn all at once, because it's kind of like sending a big smoke signal to the people that built that project, like, hey, we're here. And we want them to know about us because we admire their work.
Okay. Well, that's a good answer. I like that. Let's see. Rosemary says, if I can find it. When you understand what this does, it's the heart of the XRP ledger. The projects have a symbiotic relationship that buoys each other up and buoys up the associate tokens that are voted on.
Yep. So this is a all boats rise together type of ecosystem.
Okay. Gosh, what was my something? Oh, I know. So all of this sounds super complicated and not at the same time, but very involved. And you said you have about 50 people working together collectively through all of these projects. And I'm just wondering, if something were to happen to Patrick L. Riley, I presume there are folks there that understand what the heck's going on, just as well as you do, and that this could carry on. And I did pick up on the fact that you talked about this becoming automated.
Yep.
And so what is the probability of that happening? And then once that happens, where do we go from there? Really?
Yeah. So it's definitely going to automate. It's just a matter of when. But to back up to the prior question, yes, there are other people who can run this system. And if I get struck by lightning as I walk out of my house, which could happen because we just had a tornado, there are people who can run it, but also there is protocols for what will happen to the wallets and the seeds to make sure that the right people receive those and are able to continue on in this vision. And I think they'd be able to do quite fine. I think they'll figure it out, frankly.
Yeah.
And then as far as automation, we want to automate all of the protocol, all of the execution of actions within the ledger to the actions of purchases and even destruction, as well as the debt reaping, as well as things in Ascension and distribution. But really the kind of the holy grail of decentralization is decentralized hosting and decentralized hosting of the website and things like that, so that no government would ever be able to take us down. So that is something that we're targeting and we're planning on, so that basically this could live on its own for infinity. And there are companies out there working on decentralized hosting. We're keeping a very close eye on a company called Only Arweave, which does currently offer a hosting service that should stay live for at least 200 years independently.
Wow. That would be awesome. I mean, that's twice as long as the current system was built to last. So 100 years or whatever, 80 to 100 years. So 200 years would be fantastic. Oh, what else? I just had something in my head that came and now it's gone. What does it say? When deciding, Lisa says, when deciding which coin to vote for each time that will be burned, what should I base my choice off of?
Anything you like, really. If you hold it and you want it burned because you hold it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want it burned just because you support the project, even when you don't hold it, totally fine. If you want it burned because you don't like the project and you're taking out a little rage, that's cool too. It really doesn't matter.
How often? So, okay, when you guys are all deciding what to vote for, what is the time frame again that people are allowed to decide? Like, is there kind of discourse there with, we should burn this one, no, we should burn that one, or no, we're going to do? Is there any of that kind of conversation going on? And how long? And then, how does that work?
Yep. So there's a little bit of that discourse, but really not as much as there used to be. Now most people are kind of settled into their votes. And with Reaper, what we've done is we've made it so it's a static vote. They don't necessarily have to vote every 2 weeks. The last vote that they put in is going to stay there until they change it.
I like that.
There's no need to actually babysit this. You can set it and forget it and continue to earn passive XRP and continue to get debt reaping once that's completely live. So you won't have to babysit this at all. With Ascension, Pillars, and Ark, there is still a legacy voting system. And when I say that, it's still blockchain voting that's ahead of everybody else. But for us, it's a legacy voting system. So in that system, we allow 48 hours of voting before the execution of the utility. So it starts on a Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And it will go until Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, in which we will execute the utility based on votes.
Okay. So I could imagine that, if something, I mean, I don't know, is there like a message board or something where, even without the vote, where folks are chatting back and forth? I guess I'm wondering, if you're chatting and you're seeing something that's coming about that kind of needs some attention, that there'd be some chitter chatter about it and trying to get collective to get to vote for a specific thing, like how you're deciding to hold the certain token that we talked about earlier, because you want to make a statement when you do it. You want them to know that you're burning their token. I would imagine that there would be another situation that will come up at some time where collectively the drum starts getting beat to say, like, let's all do this token. I mean, do you hope that it does that? I mean, was that your expectation and what you would like to see, or are you more happy that it is just people deciding maybe to do their own reaping and of their own debt and whatnot?
So I think debt reaping will largely overshadow token burning for the most part, but it's always a good thing when there is a community swell to go after a token. For a while there, Shiba Inu actually had a burn portal. So we were using their burn portal, and we were supposed to receive, a payment back from that burn portal, which we could then turn around and distribute to the community. So that was, of course, beneficial all around for everybody. Unfortunately, they kind of dropped the ball pretty hard on that burn portal. But, things like that are always good, because anytime there's a swell of support for burning something, then that's just, it's magnetism in the air for the Reaper community, and it makes everybody happy. There's no downside to it, really.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Let's see. I don't know if there's any other. I thought I heard that. I don't know that. It's more about the. Hey, Graham Glam, how you doing, my friend? Northern Living in the house. Let's see. Crypto Ace says my work here today is finished until tomorrow, friends. Let's see how long it takes. Thank you for stopping by, Crypto Ace. Please like, share, and subscribe on your way out. We appreciate you. So gosh, we've covered a lot of this. If somebody, now you've got my interest, you've hooked me. How the heck do I buy it? Where do I go? How do I do it? Is it super complicated for grandmas and 20 somethings alike? How do we do this?
It is a little complicated, and there is a learning curve. So because we're fully decentralized and we expect self-custody, and our utility doesn't necessarily work if you hold on an exchange. We are on some exchanges. We're on BitTrue, so you can buy on BitTrue with USDT if you want to, but you're not going to receive passive income, and you're not going to be able to use the utility. The best way to do this is to download the Zaman app, XAMAN. And with that Zaman app, go to xpmarket.com and log in with your Zaman app. And then you'll be able to go to Reaper and set the trust line. And then with that trust line set, you'd be able to trade or swap for RPR or for any of our other tokens.
Can you briefly describe what a trust line is for our dipitoers?
Yeah, so a trust line is something that's kind of specific to the XRP ledger. It's not found on any other blockchains, to my knowledge. But on Ethereum, for example, you don't have to set a trust line. And what that does is it means that you can be sent at random just absolute junk coins that are by anybody, right? So you might end up with a wallet that is just spammed and full of junk you never wanted. Some of those try to infiltrate the wallet in a way that they want to steal your money. So on the XRP ledger, you have to agree to receive something. And to do that, you have to set the trust line, which is allowing your XRP ledger wallet to hold that token. So we can't send it to you if you don't give us that trust line to say it's okay to put it here.
So that's kind of so every XRP wallet has to have a trust line in order for you to actually get any of these. They can't dust you, right?
Yeah.
Don't they call it dusting? Yeah, I've actually heard of that, where all of a sudden you'll have a little extra in your wallet or some things you don't recognize. And sometimes people say, even if you didn't have any ETH or whatever, and they sent you a little bit, and all of a sudden, but the minute you move it, then they know you're an active wallet and blah, blah, blah. And that's how they can, I don't know, track you, whatever. And because it never made sense. It's like, nothing in this world is free. Okay. I mean, we're old enough to know that, right? There's a reason why they sprinkled some into your wallet, with the exception of having this trust line. So that's just another reason why the XRP ledger is a way to go if you're building a project, because you do have to have this trust line thing, right? Which
Yeah,
I never really understood exactly what the trust lines were, to be honest with you.
and
I
to
didn't
the
know.
viewers out there who don't have familiarization with blockchains in general, or kind of the diversity of blockchains, I do want to point out that the XRP ledger is far and above the superior blockchain. Not only has it been active without any downtime for, I think, close to 9 years now, 10 years, something like that. No, it's 11 since 2013.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's active with no downtime. You have transactions that take 3 to 5 seconds, and you can do literally 100,000 transactions for pennies, as we do every weekend. Now, the other side to this is that with Bitcoin, there's something called proof of work, and that's when you hear about Bitcoin miners. Those Bitcoin miners are running machines, and they're running more power in the Bitcoin mining network than the entire state of New Jersey. But they also have a programmed in halving mechanism. So every 4 years, the rewards to those miners get cut in half. And at the same time, when new miners come into the ecosystem, the difficulty to mine goes up. So what that inevitably does is it makes it more expensive to get into mining. The barrier to entry rises. As the barrier to entry rises, you have more corporations and more governments involved in mining and less real people. So that means it becomes more and more centralized over time until inevitably there will be one entity controlling Bitcoin, completely centralized, and that one entity, because they control Bitcoin, would have the ability to do what's called an 80% attack or a 50% attack, and they'd be able to take the funds that are in your actual wallet, move them out and put them in their wallet and dump it all on the market for something else. So Bitcoin, it has basically a time bomb ticking before it dies. Now Ethereum is a similar system. It went from proof of work to proof of stake, but the proof of stake basically means he with the most money wins. So whoever is able to buy the most is able to control the network, and that can again move funds in a extreme situation, but it's inevitable that it will reach that point. So the XRP ledger does not have proof of work. It does not have proof of stake. It was all pre-minted, pre-mined, and it only has consensus mechanisms that overcome a Byzantine general problem, which is kind of a weird mathematical problem that if you're not familiar with, you don't need to worry about. But it is the superior blockchain in every way.
It's interesting that you say this. I mean, you just concisely explained it, because I've wondered, Ripple XRP, the XRP ledger, they always say that they're the banker's coin. They're the banker. They're but what I see with what they've built and the things that you've just explained, like I've always thought that about Ethereum. I always thought this kind of mirrors our current financial, like the way things are now. Like, and I never could understand why people were championing this and saying that XRP was bad, XRP ledger was bad. I didn't understand that. And I do have some similar concerns with the Bitcoin. I know I think it's going to end up being something different than what the average person that's really championing it now. It's not going to be what they think it is going to be. Is what I don't think it's going away. I just don't think it's going. I don't think it is or ever was going to be what people are have bought into what it is.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So
yeah.
Bitcoin, the idea, of course, and I fully admire Satoshi Nakamoto, as anybody should in this space, and what was built with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin cannot be a global reserve currency. It cannot be a replacement for the dollar. The reason for that is simple. So if we said that now the United States and China and Russia are all using Bitcoin as a currency and they go to war, what happens is now we have the ability of China to build out a Bitcoin mining pool that overtakes the network and cuts off the United States or Russia or vice versa, or it doesn't really matter who, but it would only cost a small fraction of a military budget to build out enough mining power to overcome those other nations and cut them out of the economic system and completely cripple them. So for that very reason, Bitcoin can never, under any circumstances, be a currency for any of the large nations of power. It can work in El Salvador because El Salvador isn't in threat of somebody spending that much to overthrow it.
Right. I do think that there's been a lot of interesting technology and development, and Bitcoin sparked it. I was listening. I told you earlier I was listening to one of your brother's exit interviews when he left one of his old job for his new job, and it has to do with the Bitcoin mining thing. But what they touched on in that conversation was the use of the energy and the heat that comes with these data centers. And what really sparked my attention was, saying that it started out with Bitcoin mining, but now these huge data centers that we have already, now it's getting their wheels turning to realize that they can take that power, the energy that they've been using and all the heat, and capture that and use that for other things. And so they're not just wasting this extra energy, basically. And so I think that that is a very positive thing, that if anything, it's got that going, you know what I mean. And then there's a bunch of other things that I think are really good about Bitcoin. But I agree with you. It's not going to be like the global reserve currency. It's not going to. It's. I don't think it was ever really intended to be that. But people think that in the talking points, and you just learn and you regurgitate that. And when you start doing your own research and start looking into things, you're like, well, I'm not trying to be difficult here, but guys, I don't think that it's going to work that way. And of course, me not being a super technical person, I'm just, I'm just a gal looking on the outside in and going, I got questions. I got a lot of questions, So.
Well, the majority of the community and the majority of people, and it's just human nature, is they want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth. So they want to be encouraged in the things that they already believe in. They don't want to be corrected to believe in or to understand what is correct. And that is the situation with XRP Ledger, is that there's a lot of FUD out there, a lot of it paid for by JP Morgan and Ethereum Foundation and things of that nature, that intentionally have sullied the name of XRP and Ripple Labs. However, inevitably, the best technology does win, and you're not going to take a horse and buggy cross country to go from Chicago to New York when someone else built a highway and a car, and XRP is the highway and the car.
Right. Wow. Simon says, Patrick, what inspired you, or what event sparked what is now known as Reaper? Yeah, that's a great question.
So
where did this all come from, man? I mean, I wrote or like read on your thing, you were a combat medic. How do you go from being a soldier combat medic for 16 years to developing Reaper Financial?
Yeah, so actually back in 2009, I got blown up. I had a traumatic brain injury and a head injury, which caused neuroplasticity, and I became what's clinically known as a acquired savant. So basically, I became somewhat smarter, and my savantism is in that I am able to understand systems. I see systems as if they are a natural thing to me, and I understand when things are out of place or when something needs to be added to. So I came back from Iraq. I started building cars from the frame up with no real knowledge in how to do that, no training in how to do that, but I was just able to do it because I intrinsically understood what needed to go where and why. And of course, as a combat medic, I was busy in anatomy and physiology, and these things started coming really naturally to me. And I started inventing. So in 2009, shortly after I was blown up, I started inventing motors and things of that nature. And I'll be presenting some of that on June 8th at the Quantum Summit.
I want to go so bad.
In Cape Canaveral. So once I started inventing, I decided I really needed to figure out how to make the money to make these inventions a reality. How I was going to basically penetrate society with this impact that I wanted to have. And I realized that crypto was the only place that really had a return potential that was going to ever get me to where I needed to be. So in 2014, I sold my deployment baby GT500 Mustang, and I got into Bitcoin mining. I learned a lot, and it was a steep learning curve, but got through the 2017 bull run, learning some more lessons. And in 2021, once the COVID and vax mandate came out for the military, I wasn't doing that. And I knew it was time for me to move on after 16 years in the military. Wow. So I decided it was time for me to launch my own business. Reaper was actually my call sign in the military with civil affairs and psyops, because I was a combat medic that was deployed kind of far from any kind of Role 3 treatment facility. So the joke was that if I had to put my hands on you, you were already dead, because because it was so far away. So I was Reaper. So that just kind of stuck, and I thought about the way I wanted to do burn as a service, and I knew I was moving on with my life from the military, so I launched Reaper Financial.
Wow, that's incredible! Like I could see a movie being made about you. We need to get Fruition Production films in here and have them. I mean, because I was thinking, was that movie, was it Michael or whatever, with John Travolta, where he got struck by lightning and then all of a sudden he was like a genius? But it's kind of what you're saying.
It's a little bit like that. Yeah.
I mean, that had to be surreal. Like all of a sudden you're like, I don't know why I know all this stuff now. Like I'm just easily understanding it.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And I didn't actually understand why I was understanding until 2014. I was flying from Fort Lewis down to Camp Atterbury, and I just picked up a book in the airport called Struck by Genius by Jason Padgett. And he had a similar situation. He had failed high school algebra, but when he was 30, he actually went to a karaoke bar, and he got mugged, and they bashed his head in when he got mugged. And within the next 3 years, he went from kind of a jock with no mathematical understanding to a Stephen Hawking's level mathematician, because he was an acquired savant and also acquired synthesia. So he sees fractals in the light. Great guy. Would love to spend a few days just talking to him. But so I understood what happened to me after I read that book. It just kind of clicked that consciousness is not contained within the human body. Consciousness is external to the human body, because I saw the system, and whether it's the double slit experiment or whether atoms are reacting and moving based on our observation, or whether you can close your eyes and imagine a city you've never been to, and sounds you've never heard, and cars you've never seen, and people you've never interacted with. You can imagine all of that in a split second. So being able to imagine that means you also do all of the geometry, all of the physics, all of the personalities, and all of that is simply there. No one had to teach you how to do it. So knowledge is not something to be taught or learned. It's something to be known. And a lot of what I do is kind of intrinsically known, more so than it is learned.
Wow. You blow my mind. I'm definitely not a savant, but I have great intuition and discernment. And like I said, the little Reaper dude kind of threw me off, but I knew that this you were good and super smart. I mean, just I'm so impressed. And of course, I always say I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want people like you around me that can, teach me something. And it's interesting that you're saying this. Somebody messaged me on X and said, they wanted to have a conversation with you about a recent interview that was floating around Twitter. I was listening to it at work the other day, and this guy was blowing my mind, and I'm like, what does Patrick think about what this guy is saying? It's like Terrence or what's that?
Howard, Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm so curious of what you thought. I mean, that's a whole show in itself.
yeah. So it's 3 hours long, the whole episode with Joe Rogan, and I know because I've got it open somewhere, and I'm still waiting to be able to watch the whole thing. But I have caught parts of it, and there are definitely parts of that where I think Terrence Howard is very well read, and he's researched the right things. More importantly, he has a very good high-level understanding of quite a few things, and at the same time, there are other points that I would disagree on that he comes to conclusions I would not necessarily agree on. But I think he's very much on the right track and in the right direction in the way that he presented the information.
Man, I'd love to see you talking with someone like that. That's the thing. Because I don't, I think that is part of science and things, is that people should be able to communicate and debate one another, right? That's how we learn and grow. Not everybody is just going to be right. You could have a theory on something and you put forth, and then somebody else puts just one little piece out there, and then you say, you know what? I think you're right. Maybe we'll try. And then boom, it's something a little bit different than you originally thought you were going to have or whatever. But wow. I want to say hello to T.O. Trini and Drew Ankney. He says, Drew says, wait till you find out about passive gold and silver through Ascension. We haven't even touched on any of these other things, and this is why I would love to have you back. I just want to see if there's any more because so I guess as a teaser, because now I've kept you for 2 hours, and I think that is a very long time to keep for somebody on a Wednesday night. And boy, we still have 293 people watching. Thank you guys so much. Please share this out. Please like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. If we have any other questions real quick, I wanted to have the opportunity for him to answer these questions concerning Reaper. But if you would touch just like a little teaser on your other projects that you've built, just give them enough to make them come back next time you come back on Dip a Toe, and we can dive into those specific things.
Sure. So the second project in our lineup is Ascension Index and Ascension Token. So Ascension is built both as a decentralized index fund, but also as a distribution system. So you're able to earn daily as well as biweekly passive income for Ascension, which does include Ascension Aurum and Ascension Argentum, or gold and silver, which are tokens that are backed 1-to-1, where one token is 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver, and they are fully redeemable for that physical bullion, which we will ship to your house after you pay the shipping and handling and burn the token. So you can also earn Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and about a dozen XRP Ledger assets by holding Ascension. And all you have to do is hold, as well as have the trust lines for the asset that you're receiving. But where we're going with Ascension, we're adding in consumer goods next. So we're looking to add in things like groceries. So Kroger, Fred Meyer, Walmart, Costco. So the idea that you could hold Ascension and earn, every few months you might earn an extra trip worth of groceries. And that might make a difference for a lot of families out there.
Yeah.
We're also looking at things like electronics, so cell phones, laptops, game systems, where you could basically earn a gift card towards that device. And we're also looking at things like cars and homes. So we're looking to partner with BMW, Ford, Tesla, and you would be able to earn your down payment towards that Tesla or towards that BMW simply by holding Ascension. So that is where we're going with that. But in the long term, what gets really exciting with Ascension is when I get to bring in the high level science and physics. We are looking to go into space-based mining and space-based manufacturing with Ascension. I do have a full design for what we call Ascension Point, which is a very large space-based manufacturing facility and smelting facility, which I'll be building on Earth and launching into Earth, orbit into the Lagrange point between between the Moon and Earth, and mining the main belt between Mars and Jupiter. And the science and all the explanations of how that works and why it will work is a great story that I'd love you to come back for next time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't wait to talk about that because I'm thinking you got to get some hella clearance to be able to launch something like that, right? I mean, they're not going to just let anybody put something up in the air like that, right? So again, this is not some guy in his basement creating a meme token. It's some high level stuff. This is the real deal, folks.
Yep, and it's going to be a 500-meter diameter space station with a 250-meter void in the center, 100 meters in width, and that is something that is so large because building at that scale enables us to lift it in the way that we will to put it out into space. So it is going to be quite the spectacle once it gets done, and it will happen. So moving from Ascension and that ambition, we have Ark Institute, which is run by a great gentleman by the name of Greg Pruitt, and I'm sure he'll probably be on this show at a later date. So Ark Institute is about helping charities. So basically, instead of you pulling $20 out of your pocket and giving it to the homeless person on the corner and hoping all goes well, you're getting some very highly vetted charities that we've put through our gates. And we are using the same RES system to generate funds and then donate those funds to the charities based on the vote of the token holder. And at the same time, we're paying you passive income. So you haven't taken $20 out of your pocket and given it away. You still have your funds. Your funds are completely within your control. You can sell at any time, but we are also giving you passive income. And you're helping charities all at the same time. We support Innocence Project, Mobile Loaves and Fishes, Raising Men and Women, and Battle Dogs currently. And we're looking to expand that significantly as well. And we have a 7-phase white paper for that is also quite ambitious. We have Pillars, which supports 10 different projects on the XRP Ledger, including all the RES, but also including some of the tokens that are not our own, such as Zoe, Schmeckles, StakeX, XStick, and Treasury. So we support them by raising funds every 2 weeks, and with those funds, we divide the funds against the total supply of the token, which is also going down every 2 weeks. But we place a limit buy order on the books for the entire supply of the token, so that if XRP goes up or if the price goes down, there is always a floor price that continues to rise every 2 weeks for that token. So that means there will always be an ascending bottom. And then there is Box. Box is built on XRP.com. Built on XRP.com is a social media that is aimed to compete directly with X, Twitter, Facebook, and other social medias. But instead of just paying the large influencer accounts, we are going to be using revenue from Box. 50% of revenue will purchase XRP, and that XRP will be distributed to users based on their engagement. So if you read an article, if you take a poll, if you do a survey, if you watch a live stream video such as this one, you're going to receive engagement points for that. And your box tokens times your engagement equals your impact, and your impact is your percentage of the vote compared to everyone else's impact. And that's how much of the 50% of revenue you would be receiving.
Wow. See what I mean, guys? This is why I said we have to have a series. I would love for you to come back. We're on every Wednesday, so let me know when you're available to come back. I'd love to have you back to continue talking and carry on with the next phase of your project so people can get a deep understanding. I'm hoping that those that tuned in today, this gives them a little deeper understanding of what Reaper is and what you're doing. I hope that I asked the questions. Rosemary wants everybody to know that Patrick is speaking at Quantum Summit on June 8th about phase 12 of the Reaper roadmap, and you don't want to miss it. And you can sign up for live stream access today. And actually, I think I signed up for the live stream. I think it's free even for the folks that can't come to that summit. I really wanted to go. That sounds like it's going to be just fantastic.
Well,
yeah. What are you gonna? What's that? What are you gonna do there?
So I'm going to be revealing 4 novel technologies that are all inventions of mine. And with that, 2 specific use cases, though there are many different, unlimited use cases for each of these technologies. But revealing these technologies to say that if you had your mind blown today, or if you didn't, it's nothing compared to what's going to happen June 8th. And if you think, if you want to know what goes on inside my mind and how far I can take it, you're going to find out June 8th.
That sounds awesome. Let's see if we have any other. Northern Living says thank you to Melissa and Patrick. The Quantum Summit is in Florida. What is it? Where is it? What part of Florida?
Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral. That's right.
Right to Patrick Air Force Base, or Patrick Space Force Base. Sorry.
There, of course, that's where it's at. Do you have anything else you would like to share with our audience before we say our goodbyes? First, one thing before you say anything, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time and spending 2 hours and 15 minutes with Dipito Show, and giving our audience just this overview and a little bit of depth on what you're actually building, and having patience with my questions.
Well, thank you, Melissa. And I'll say as my final parting that Melissa here is a great person, and having met her in person, I know she's going to go very far. I know that Simon Says is going to go far as well. So give them both a follow on X, but also definitely subscribe, like, and I appreciate the shares. I'll come back and read all the comments at some point. So I appreciate everybody that took the time to watch this, but I appreciate Melissa and Simon Says especially. And so I hope you'll show them some love.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick. So guys, if you want to see more, we will try to nail Patrick down on another episode soon, and we'll have you back here to talk about the rest of these projects in depth. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time on Dipito. Have a good rest of your night, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you all, and God.